Innsmouth, stranger.
Hi, I'm Rob Whiten from the Innsmouth Book Club. Join me and my fellow guide John Chadwick as we take you on a fortnightly tour of Innsmouth. We visit places such as the Picture House, the Library and Innsmouth Museum to discuss all aspects of weird fiction, whether it be book, film, music, TV or art. As well as that, we stop over at the Gilman House to have a chat with a resident guest. That includes authors, artists, musicians, in fact Lovecraftian creatives of all types. You can find our free shows on Patreon, and there you can also sign up as a patron, which brings you bonus content, plus a monthly PDF copy of Innsmouth News, which features articles, author spotlights, all the latest news and reviews, and more. You can find us at patreon.com/InnsmouthBC. We hope to see you soon, because remember, Innsmouth isn't just a place, it's a state of mind.
You're listening to KZOM, Oleander Public Radio. Welcome to People's Guide to the Cthulhu Mythos.
All right. There it is. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to People's Guide to the Cthulhu Mythos. I am one of your many hosts, founder, editor, whatever, DB Spitzer, and to my virtual right, as always, Gretchen Brooks and Farmer Dave Heath. How are you two doing this week?
I am well.
Yeah, doing okay. Hanging in there.
Nice.
It's that rainy part of the year. It's kind of yucky out, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of TV, kind of trying to get my mind off things.
Yeah.
And then we have the house in order starting to happen. Yeah, we finally got I'm sure I'm sure this is such riveting podcast material, but we finally got our approval on our carpets. So we're getting carpets. So exciting.
That is nice. That's fun.
Yeah.
Very cool. Just holding down the fort here, printing stuff, doing things, getting ready for Emerald City Comic Con 2024.
Oh,
Nothing
that's
terribly
exciting.
Yeah,
I've always
it's kind of
wanted to
exciting.
go.
Yeah, me too, and now I do. What's new on the farm, Dave?
Not new baby goats. That's in about a month.
Oh, okay.
Oh, fun!
All right.
Yeah, the first babies about the end of March will be the first babies.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's about it.
Well,
Have you guys watched True Detective, this new season?
Season 4? No, not yet.
5. It's 5.
I've heard good things, and I have a spoiler that I have no idea.
Okay. I liked season 1 and 3. I know that. And season 2, everyone was like, "Don't watch it," so I didn't. But
so I feel
I
like
think it's
we're
an Ithaquah
trying.
season.
What's that?
I think it's an Ithaquah season.
What do you mean?
Ithaquah's the August Daedalus snow god.
Yeah,
Or
there's.
Wendigo.
I mean, it just ended, so I just finished watching it. Like it literally just ended. Yeah, it's I don't know. I want to say that I was a little bit like, oh, okay, that's how it ended. Okay, we spent all this time building up for this finale, and it was like, oh, okay. I mean, cool. I mean, the justice happened in kind of a weird way, but like, you kind of got this like beautiful setup of like amazing mythos, and you get this kind of like plot that feels like we're about to experience something supernatural, and then it's like womp womp. Yeah, I mean, that's my only complaint, is that other than that, Jodie Foster was incredible in it. There we go.
All right.
I have heard that. I've heard the supporting cast was good too.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody. Honestly, I don't think there was a bad actor in the whole thing because everybody brought their game to this one.
Oh, good. Well,
But yeah,
good.
so you guys check it out if you get the opportunity. The new season of it just ended. Of True Detective.
Okay.
Oh, good.
But yeah, we're not here to talk about True Detective. My bad.
So, this week we are talking about the Whatley family. Ugh. And then later we're going to be talking about this time that a supernova ejected tachyon particles into our galaxy, and those tachyon particles, they interacted with the sun of the anti-god, so wait for that one, buddy. But yeah, we'll be talking about John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness, and I think that's like the best spoiler-free intro to that movie.
Yeah.
Probably.
So, gang, what do we got on the Whateleys?
Well, I have a spider named after Lavinia.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I have it's a curly haired tarantula. Maybe I'll post it to the Instagram since I've been kind of slacking, so I'll put a little extra in there.
Sure, yeah.
I'll put in a picture of Lavinia. She's
Nice.
she's very cute. She's very furry, and she
Very cool.
likes to dig herself down into the sides because she's she's the kind of spider that likes to jump out and attack its prey. So she likes to dig down into her little enclosure, and then pushes her whole body into that little enclosure. And then when I walk past it, she jumps out hey, you got some super worms.
Well,
But yeah,
that sounds like a well-trained spider.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, so my experience with the Whateleys has been kind of a funny one. I kind of came to it with the Jeffrey Combs character actor. And then also working at the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival multiple years. There was one year when Chris Wallace, who is the genius behind Gizmo and the Gremlins and The Fly 2, he created this sculpture of Wilbur Whatley.
Yes.
So I have this picture of myself standing next to this this statue, and I'm only about 5'2". So Wilbur Whatley's terrifying crotch with multiple tentacle, horrible mouths on it was right next to my head.
Yeah.
So rude. And I think it's at the Peculiarium now.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
I think that's where all of Chris Wallace's statues of his Lovecraftian creations end up living at the Peculiarium.
Oh, that's very
I haven't
cool.
been there in 4 or 5 years. So.
Oh my gosh, you should go. It's totally different. They change it up pretty good. It's especially since they moved around a little bit.
Okay.
They shifted the entire gallery. It's really cool.
Where's it located these days?
Down on Northwest 23rd.
Okay.
I'm not certain exactly the cross street, but yeah, that's where all those sculptures are at living now.
Very cool. Very cool.
But that's my experience with the and I think just that's the only time so it's Northwest 23rd and Northwest Thurman Street.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, that was my introduction to the Whatley family.
So I have an unpopular Whatley theory.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Wilbur Whatley is autobiographical.
What do you mean?
That Lovecraft based himself on it.
Ew.
So here's some of my thoughts, and I've been, and I thought I invented this theory. In fact, I wrote a blog post. It's pretty much been discredited before I thought it. But here's my arguments. Lovecraft was pretty much raised by his grandfather.
Yes.
Wilbur Whatley is raised by his grandfather.
Yeah.
Lovecraft hates dogs. Wilbur Whatley is eaten by a dog. Wilbur Whatley is ugly. Lovecraft is told all of his life by his mother that he is ugly.
Yes.
So bad that up until his 20s, he doesn't go out in the daylight because he believes he's ugly. And his mom has some issues, and she's not like, you're ugly. She says, you're ugly, but that's okay. The world won't understand you. Only your mother can understand you.
Did
And
she
look past
really?
ugly.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I didn't know his like family life was quite that ridiculous. Like
he loved his mom. His mom loved him, and it wasn't all of her fault because of her situation.
mhm.
He was an abused child.
Yeah.
He was an abused child, and so I think there's a lot that now Lovecraft never confirms this in any of his letters. What he does imply is that Artemage is based on him. So I think that maybe at least subconsciously he's writing Whatley. He's writing his experiences. That Whatley is an outsider. He's an outsider. And I think that Artemage is who he would like to see himself as. And so because Lovecraft never confirms this, and I don't think even if he did consciously, I don't think it would be something he would confirm.
Yeah.
You never know how much unconsciously is an author and a character.
Yeah.
And just so but I think that there are, and apparently before I knew it, people had battered this idea around and then dismissed it, and then
I wrote a paper about it when I was in college. this exact idea, which I think is hilarious.
So that's and there's a lot, but I think subconsciously a lot of Whatley is Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Getting away from. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say I agree. I wrote a paper about it. Whether or not he's trying to show himself as Wilbur Whatley, there are those feelings of not belonging that Lovecraft is very clear about in his writings, about, in his writings to other people, in his fiction. But anyway, you're saying, Gretchen.
Oh no, I'm slightly confused about the family and who is who. Like, I thought that, I don't know. I guess I thought that Lavinia was the sister, but is she the mother of Wilbur? Okay. What was there an implication that she was the sister of him at one point in some movie?
There's always been that's something that when people talk about it, there's always that implication because his father. Well, his father's someone you've never heard of, no one you've ever seen, or just like the townsfolk are like, we know who Lavinia, who Wilbur's father is. Yikes! But I mean, it's kind of hinted like that's what the townsfolk think. But Wilbur Whatley's like, no. His father's like someone really important, and you'll hear him shouting his father's name one night over on Sentinel Hill, and you guys better watch out. Better treat us nice.
I don't know why I got it in my head that she was. I mean, maybe is Lavinia related to? Is she the brother to Yog-Sothoth, or is she just like?
She is the bride of Yog-Sothoth.
I mean, I said brother. Sorry. So she's the bride of Yog-Sothoth.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the Dunwich Horror is also Yog-Sothoth.
He's the twin.
Yeah, but Wilbur's twin.
He's Wilbur's twin, but he's also named Yog Whatley, right?
I don't know.
Possibly. I'm not, and that may be what the grandfather calls him. I don't remember that.
Okay. So the
I think that maybe Chaosium calls him that.
Okay. That sounds about right.
So the Dunwich Horror is not Yog-Sothoth.
No, it's Yog-Sothoth's son.
Okay.
As Wilbur Whatley. He's Wilbur Whatley's twin.
Yeah. Okay. They're obviously fraternal twins. They don't look anything.
He's the twin that took off more after his father.
Yeah. He doesn't even get a name, apparently. He just gets to be the Dunwich Horror.
Yeah.
Like, what's your brother's name? Well, he's the horror.
He's
We
the
don't let
Dunwich
him out.
Horror.
That's what my sister said when in high school.
What's that?
That's what my sister said in high school.
That's my brother, the horror. Ugh. And then Cthulhu is their nephew.
Oh, that's some heretical stuff there.
I don't know. So I'm just reading. I'm like, I did a little bit of research because I haven't read the Dunwich Horror. Shockingly, I've only heard the audio, the Dark Adventure Theater version, and I've only seen the movie, so I've never read the book.
So that comes from what the family tree, the family tree of the outer gods, which Lovecraft wrote as a joke, and August Derleth kind of took as gospel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So all the stuff, and you're never quite sure how much Lovecraft took this seriously or as a guide to other writers. Derleth took it as gospel.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that say this deity is related to this deity and the children, that's not necessarily canon.
Yeah, it was a joke between H.P. Lovecraft and Clark Ashton Smith, kind of being like, "Oh, this is how you're related to these monsters. No, this is how you're related to these monsters." And Clark Ashton Smith, I think, published the first timeline or family tree, but I could be wrong. But
He may have.
Lovecraft may have written the first one in his notes back and forth, letters, I think they're called. And I'm pretty sure that Clark Ashton Smith published it first, though, in his short stories.
Yeah, so maybe kinda, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. There's some stuff that I'm like, I think anything above a certain level, we could be like, that's just like saying that man's from God is saying that these people or these things, and oh man, now we're getting to heretical cosmology of the Cthulhu mythos.
Yeah, because I'm a little confused.
Yeah, it's a bunch of gobbledygook.
So we talked about Abigail Williams in the past, right? But she's possessed by Yog-Sothoth, right? Am I right?
I'm drawing a blank on Abigail Williams.
Yeah, me too.
I thought we talked about her in the past. Like, maybe I'm just confusing her with another character. Oh my goodness, we have
there's so many characters.
There's so many. And there's so many people with very similar names.
So I think you're maybe speaking about Anseth Wait.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's possessed
okay.
She was possessed by somebody else.
She's possessed by her father.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Whew. All right. Sorry.
Yep.
It's confusing.
Oh, yeah.
The Whatley family line is long and terrifying.
Yeah. One way or the other, these long Lovecraftian family lines that end suddenly. Or so we think. Ooh.
So I have another theory. Are you ready? Yeah. Or an observation?
Sure.
So this idea of there being a demigod. I mean, Lovecraft borrows this from the Bible. I mean, no insult to, people believe the Bible. But it's also he uses a lot of biblical words and phrases. But he's also very open that he takes this from Arthur Mackman's The Great God Pan.
Yes.
Which is a story I love. And I realize this is a 130-year-old story. So spoilers. But it's the same idea, is that a mortal woman has a demigod from this outer god. And we have Wilbur, who is this sort of grotesque, monstrous creature that it doesn't blend into society. But Megan is Helen Vaughn, who is beautiful beyond words and who manipulates people. And even though there's enough humanity and again, 130-year-old story, I'm sorry, she destroys herself instead of continue on destroying other people. Where Lovecraft's creature, or demigod, doesn't have those feelings. So even though the concept is taken from the great god Pan, the children in the stories are completely different. That is an observation I had.
Cool.
Yeah. And the great god Pan, of course, being Arthur Macken's riff on Frankenstein, a modern Prometheus, or
Really?
yeah. I mean, he read that and was like, I don't know if you've ever read something then been like, oh my goodness, that's given me ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like kind of one of those things that Arthur Machen read and was like, I've got to get to my tablet right away. But no. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Yeah, no, there's all kinds of theories on who Wilbur Whatley's based off of, or Wizard Whatley. And honestly, yeah, I think the easiest one to be is like, this is like Hercules. This is like Jesus Christ. This is like Gilgamesh. This is like,
Really? Okay.
That's
he's a demigod.
Yeah, he's a demigod. He walks the earth. His brother is also a demigod, just not as close to what we consider sentient life in the universe.
No, not very ambulatory. Kind of squiggly.
Yes. Yeah.
He looks just like his dad.
He looks just like his dad. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, no, the Dunwich Horror, there's a lot of cool stuff in it that I really like. Kind of like this being able to look at Wilbur Whatley and see like evolution take place and go wrong, and just all kinds of weird, gross things that, like, if maybe it had been like, the gods that we think of, everyone would be like, that Wilbur Whatley, he's 6'10" and he can, he eats 12 dozen eggs for breakfast every day, and chops down trees and has a big blue ox or something. But it's like, but yeah, no, not this guy. Not Lovecraft won't let that kind of thing happen in his literature.
And I will give credit to Lovecraft here that this is a unique interpretation of the demigod idea.
Yeah, now that you guys put it in that perspective, it honestly makes it make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really think of him in the sense of demigod. I just kind of only looked at the easy stuff that you could see, like everybody's gross and incestual, and like everybody's related to each other.
Yeah.
And so that's what you see immediately for my.
And I'll give Lovecraft credit where credit's due. At the same point, he's got these idea of what country folk are.
Yes.
That is basically rooted in terrible stereotypes.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And he plays them off. And this is, and I mean, you get, James Dickey was one of the greatest poets in the 20th century, and he gave us Deliverance using those stereotypes.
Yeah.
So, which is a downright scary book.
And yeah. I mean, The Hills Rise Wild, and Roughest of the Hillside Thickets. Terms like that come from describing the Dunwich area.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit. I mean, it's like northeastern. It's supposed to be in like northeastern. Very, very rural. It's almost out of, I mean, it's technically still Lovecraft country, but it's like the farthest Lovecraft country away from like Boston and Arkham. But yeah, no, it's just like semi-mountainous, wooded areas, a lot of glens, a lot of vales, little bits of trees here and there. And I don't know. Armed Forces Radio has a really, really, really good version of this from Suspense Aura Theta, brought to you by Roma Wine. Yeah, no, it's like a really that is my favorite version of the story to hear is the old Armed Forces Radio version from the 40s or 50s. I can't remember, but
Oh, cool. I've only heard the Adventure Theater one, so I'll have to look up that one.
yeah. That one's really nice and kind of modern sounding, but the other one, it sounds like they recorded it on a toaster. It's so
Wow.
old. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's you can like really kind of like, I don't know, I like to imagine the people doing the Foley work and the sound work and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, at some point in time we're gonna need 6 guys in here to do the sounds of whippoorwills.
Which is so cool.
Oh yeah. Anyway, enough about my love of radio. Yeah, Wilbur Whatley, the Whatley family. Different ways to think about it. Different ways. It's like part of me is thinking it's like they are kind of a gross, degenerate family, but I mean, it's like, do you need the gross degenerateness to worship Yog-Sothoth or worship an outer gods? I mean, it seems a lot like in a fair amount of Lovecraft stuff, it's either like the rich, the ultra rich or the ultra poor, or there's not really a in between grounds. It's like people who can afford these fancy houses in Boston, and these like poor rural folks who live up on hills or dilapidated houses or deep in the woods.
Well, I was gonna say is what I think also that it does is it shows magical bloodlines, right? Like so.
Yeah.
Lovecraft seems to see the importance in magic and family and bloodlines, and so I think that kind of presents itself over and over again in some of his stories. Like obviously with Homegirl and her dad, like people seem to be. I'm all Homegirl. But you know what I mean, like that. It seems to be like a title of a theme we keep seeing often, like a repeating theme. Now that we've been doing this for a little while, I'm starting as a relatively new to Lovecraft reader. I mean, I read some stuff in high school, but it's like I just didn't retain it or whatever. I moved on to like Anne Rice. Sure. I don't know, but like
no, I get that.
Now I'm looking back as an adult and seeing those commonality themes that presented in his work as we go through a lot of his pieces. And I find it really interesting. That's, one of the cool things about being part of this podcast and being the new.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also a cool thing about going over Lovecraft when you're younger, taking a break from it, and then coming back to it with adult eyes and going, oh yeah, okay. I see where
because like as a teenager you're like, oh, this is just cool and like spooky.
Tentacles, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then like going from that, you're like, oh.
Like knowing what the bigger words mean, and me and him talking about get these Italians out of here.
Whoa.
Yikes, where'd that come from? I thought we were just talking about a witch house, buddy.
What happened to that? I thought we're friends, and I'm so confused. No.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Lovecraft, it's like, I don't know, understanding the words. I feel like it's like you liked Lovecraft when you were young, you get back into it, you start figuring out all the references and the words and stuff like that. And right around that point in time, someone says, Lovecraft was racist. It's like, yes, I know Lovecraft was racist.
That's probably why I walked away from it, because I was like, oh, he's anti-Semitic. Ugh.
Yeah.
So, being Jews, I was like, man. Yeah. I tend to do that. I mean, I definitely, I know I did as a young person too, specifically.
Yeah, but I also kind of
That
felt
is-
like when he was doing that kind of stuff, saying that kind of thing, for me it was like, yeah, you snotty New England elite coastal type. No, but not elite coastal type, but it's just like H.P. Lovecraft. You so snotty, using a thesaurus for every other word. I don't care about your opinions about people. In fact, that makes me think you're a jerk and surprised that you wrote such cool stuff and had cool friends.
Yeah,
True.
Lovecraft was alive now, he'd be an internet troll.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Absolutely.
Totally. He'd be like, don't make me correct. Don't correct me.
Or he would be the guy that everyone's like, oh, can you believe Lovecraft came to the convention again this year? I thought he was canceled.
Oh yeah, there's a few of those in general in real life. Just saying.
Just saying, yeah. And I also know that Lovecraft would also totally fill his pockets up with quarters of donuts and bagels at the Lovecraft carb load or carb
Yeah,
load
take
for
it home
Lovecraft.
for later.
Yeah. Not that I've seen any cosmic
Nobody's ever
horror
done that, never.
writers ever do that. Yeah. Certainly no game designers either, taking stuff back for their hotel room. Anyhow, enough of telling other people's secrets. But yeah, the Dunwich Horror. It's a really good Lovecraft story. It has a beginning, a middle, and end. He doesn't say anything super terrible about any particular race, except for he does talk smack about country people, and that kind of sucks. I don't
There's
know.
not much to this story, if I remember properly. It's like we got the what happens, the baby comes, and then like it comes way later, or what something. No, that's not right.
So
is that right?
It's okay. What the story basically is there is a desolate village in Massachusetts where I'm even trying to figure out. Okay, desolate college in Massachusetts where a kid who wants to see the Necronomicon lives. He's like 16 or 17.
Yeah.
And has been writing with Henry Armitage. At some point in time, they print newspaper articles about this kid when he was little, and they couldn't find any decent men to go fight in World War I out of Dunwich. And that whole area, they couldn't find anyone who was even suitable to send into the war. Just kind of to give you an idea of what it was like and how kind of I think the Arkham something or other did a story about just how kind of run down and terrible the situation was in the Dunwich township. And then we get more to Armitage having to deal with this person who has this old copy of the Necronomicon written wrapped up in old newsprint. The book's falling apart, and he's looking for certain pages, and Armitage is like, well, I'll talk to you about it, but you can't be with the book. And then they slowly piece together Armitage, Morgan, and Rice. I'm trying to remember. Because sometimes I throw Warren from Strange Randolph Carter story. But yeah, no, it's those three guys. And they realize, oh man, if we don't get this thing figured out, bad stuff everywhere. And so they, grind up some powder of Ibn Ghazi, throw it at the boy, or throw it at the brother. The brother goes, "Ay, ay, ay, I'm visible," and then they kill it.
Or lightning kills it, I think.
Lightning kills it, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, and a lot of it is you don't you don't hear Armitage and those guys talking to each other. It's townsfolk with a telescope telling, like a guy with a telescope telling everyone what's going on. And it's crazy. It's like how I've said in the past, like Bram Stoker and like H.P. Lovecraft, Mary Shelley. No, not Mary Shelley so much, but the using different ways to tell a story, like a telegram thrown in there, or a old newspaper article that someone's reading to their friend, or like someone being like, "This is what's going on, you guys," or like in the radio drama, they actually like contact the phone operator who's like, she's using technology that's fairly new to the time to contact all the farms and see who is and isn't answering their phones. So it's just kind of like horror using newish technology to make things even weirder at times. Not that the telescope is new technology, but it's a new way to convey a story. Like having a narrator who's like, okay, this is going on, everyone who's standing around me. I mean, that's kind of a tricky one to tell.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's the perspective we're seeing, though. I didn't realize that was what. I guess it's been a minute since I've heard that audio drama. So.
Well, and the audio drama isn't very specific. I mean, it's pretty close.
Oh, okay.
But it's not 100%. I mean, they take some liberties to make the stories a little bit more entertaining, and I feel like sometimes you lose a little bit, but you also have a satisfying ending, or
Totally.
other things in Lovecraft stories that people go, "Oh my god, I just read this for 20 minutes for that."
I've been there. Oh boy.
But you know who liked this story surprisingly?
Ooh.
Farnsworth Wright, who
Oh.
was the editor of most of Lovecraft stuff, who hated Lovecraft stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And
he
only-
hates everything.
Yeah.
Lovecraft
and
hates.
Lovecraft didn't think he was going to publish it, but he picked it up and didn't complain. For the equivalent, paid quite a bit of money for it.
Yeah,
which
I'm
was,
sure Oh, sorry.
which was the most money I think Lovecraft ever made for a single story.
That's pretty cool.
So,
And it's kind of in the height of his popularity too, or what I mean of his writing period of the Lovecraftian stuff before he stops for a bit again.
yeah. So it's right. It was written in 1928, so it's kind of he's leaving. It's almost the door between his gothic stuff and his cosmic stuff.
Yeah.
I think he's just about this time leaving the Dreamland stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. And it's one of my favorites. I mean, what I was going to say is, like, I'm sure Farnsworth Wright was like, wait a minute, there's women in this? Wait a minute, there's an ending? Wait a minute, there's a middle? Wait a minute, you don't just like
There's characters.
Yeah, there's characters that all have names. Yeah, and it's like, wait a minute, you're writing from the perspective of the character, not from the monster. This is great. But no, all the various things that Farnsworth Wright, I'm sure, like, Lovecraft actually typed this maybe and spell checked it before he gave it to Farnsworth Wright, as opposed to just handing everything in longhand pencil in cursive. Anyway, enough of making fun of Lovecraft.
Yeah.
We do that quite a bit, but lovingly. Yeah. Any final thoughts on the Whatley family?
No, not really.
All right. Are you still there, Gretchen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I said no. She fell asleep. What happened?
I just had to check. I hadn't heard from you in a moment. Okay. Up next, we are going to be talking about another god thing from another god thing. I think. I don't know. It's up to your interpretation, honestly. But before that, I have been 3D printing now for about 6 months, and the best 3D printer I have found has been the Anycubic Cobra. I don't go with the Plus. I don't need anything that big. I've got my big boy printer, and it is pretty good. It keeps up with my Bamboo pretty well, and that's my high-end, super nice, anti-shake camera built in. Cost me the price of 3 Anycubic Cobras, but the Anycubic Cobras, they're really good if you just want a 3D printer to print. If you're not doing multicolor stuff, if you're just building things, Anycubic Cobra. Check out the show notes or go to pgttcm.com for more information. And also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all the other places where podcast stuff exists. All right, back to the show.
In Legacy Door, a lurker from space casts a shadow over time.
We opened our eyes upon the human world. We found ourselves lying on an especially yielding bed in a room displaying scattered relics of their shallow past, tied together by more recently produced items meant to blend with the relics. Typical.
A sensitive journalist dreams of unknown lives.
It seems like every time I close my eyes, they get stronger. I can't even say the last time I had a normal sleep, let alone a dreamless one.
An outspoken lawyer defends the suspect in an unspeakable crime.
And that client was Jonathan Strauss, held for the murder of his daughter Abigail and her companion Harrison Reese.
And a stalwart investigator tries to drag it all into the light.
Some of the Reeses and the Strausses have been involved with something that seems to include an obsession with bloodlines and longevity for at least decades.
Legacy Door is a weekly cosmic horror mystery podcast. An ensemble of actors tell a story, also available in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. Available now.
This part of the show doesn't have a theme song. This part of the show doesn't have a theme song, yeah. Dave and DB and Gretchen go to the movies. Hopefully next week we'll have a real theme song, yeah.
Hey everyone, we are back. We are talking about, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the film Prince of Darkness, John Carpenter, 1987. I'm surprised Kurt Russell wasn't in this. Prince of Darkness.
Everybody else was.
What's that?
Everybody else was.
I know, and it's like, where's Kurt Russell? It's like after watching a bunch of John Carpenter lately, I almost expect Kurt Russell to be in stuff.
Well, funny thing to kind of link back to discussing earlier, he uses the pseudonym Fred Armitage
yes.
for They Live. So I thought that was kind of cool that we mentioned. I was like, wait, hey, that's one of John Carpenter's pseudonyms. And I think for this one, he uses Quartermass's name, right?
Yeah, he uses the name Quartermass, which, yeah. Bernard Quartermass, I think, is, no.
Bernard
Quartermass. Yeah. So Martin Quartermass.
So I love this film. This is one of my picks.
Okay,
right?
Do you want to... it's yours or mine. I mean, this is one of these films.
I feel like this is one of my picks. I think Wicker Man's yours, right? Next week, or is that Dave's?
It's Dave's, yeah.
Right on. Well, either or. I really love this film.
It's so good. Can you tell us about it?
Well, right off the bat, so when you're opening up with the beginning scenes of this movie, you already have this sense of impending doom. Yes. I've only seen the theatrical version. I've never seen the TV version, and I know that there's a kind of a tone shift to a more dreamy quality, but I don't think it needs that, because I feel like the very beginning we're kind of set in this universe of there is already some everything feels darker, and there is an impendingness, and then you hear about a supernova that has been discovered, and as we kind of pull away from that, we also cut to a priest who's passed away, and he's got a special box in his lap. Mm-hmm. And I just think that this setting, the way he shot this film, is so different than his other films in a lot of ways. is. Like there isn't as much sarcasm in it. There are some odds and ends jokes, but for the most part, like I feel like this film kind of rode this line of like he was going for a more serious element because he was just coming out of doing films like Starman and things like that. So this was
Big Trouble
like,
Little China.
Yeah, he was coming back to doing horror films, and this was an independent film of his. Like he even like that's why he kind of reused cast people because he knew it could get like a cheaper performances out of him.
Well, he knew what performances he would get out of them.
Like Donald Pleasance is in this, and I mean he's just about to do the Halloween 4 movie right after this, and we got Victor Wong in it. I mean, it's just such a cool cast.
Oh yeah.
The women in it were a little forgettable for me, unfortunately, like because I just don't really. I mean, we literally kept with the running joke when he kept saying, Susan with the glasses and floppy hair,
the radiologist.
Oh. Over and over again. That was a great like running gag, I thought, because I was like, oh my god, she's totally forgettable. Bless her heart. I think Catherine was she the one that survives, the redhead?
I believe that was Catherine.
Okay.
There was one of them was Catherine. I'm bad at names.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I don't know who's who. How do I talk about this other than using the actors' names? And I didn't know what any of their names were.
Well, it's because
like, now
I
can't
really.
Look at yeah,
they don't really call them by their name very often. Like that's the thing is like nobody really calls each other their names so much.
Yeah, it's kind of like in real life where, we don't just say each other's names over and over again, but in conversation.
And speaking of female actresses, who is this Alice Cooper woman?
Man alive. I liked his bit. Like, you know the trivia behind that. Like that only reason why he would do it was only reason why they were allowed to use the gag that he uses on stage, being impaled, was because he was like, I want to be in the movie. And he was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's although you see the setup. I mean, I guess if you're looking for this kind of stuff, you see the setup on the bike like right away. It's like, why does a bike have a microphone stand attached to it?
What's happening here?
Why is there that little piece that tightens?
Well, there's just so many cool elements to this film. Like, I mean, especially like the dreaming sequence, right? Like how we have this, we don't know how far in the future this scenario is going to happen, but it's like this collective dream, the lucid dream they all have. I'm sure also as a fellow philosophy major, this movie like really was like struck a chord with me because at the time it was, I still don't have faith, but I lost my faith. And so I thought it was really interesting to take of science as the element, like this is actually not God, but like a God particle type thing. Right.
And not to be like scary or anything, but I was driving home and they were talking about this new quasar that was discovered.
I know. Dave. I was thinking the same thing. I saw that it was like the brightest point in the universe now, and they found this quasar. I'm like, oh, it's Prince of Darkness. And this is part of the Apocalypse trilogy. This is the second in the Apocalypse trilogy.
Yep.
Maybe
that's why Kurt Russell couldn't be in this one, because he could only be in one of them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. Is there in the movie They Live, don't they hear this broadcast?
I don't know if they hear this broadcast.
I feel like I need to go rewatch They Live.
Yeah.
But I could have sworn that they could hear this broadcast in their dreams. And I was like, oh, wait, if that's the case, are they linked? But everything I researched didn't say anything about it. So maybe I was just, because there is a broadcast that happens in They Live.
Part of me is now like going, is that church from the exterior point? And it's like parts of the inside of the church, like when they enter it, that was all filmed on site. But as they go into it, it's like, oh yeah, that's this monastery here, and that's in Long Island, and this is over here, and nothing was actually shot inside the church. But I'm pretty sure they actually shoot from the church and around side of the church, and like kind of that whole like back area for They Live. But I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong.
I think I need to rewatch it before I like lock that theory in. But I'll be honest,
me
like
too.
I kept being like, isn't that the dream sequence we keep hearing in They Live? But again, like those movies came out 1 year apart, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I kind of like in my brain puts them together. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I would almost call They Live an apocalypse scenario, except for the fact that they actually avert it by awakening everybody.
Yeah.
But this movie definitely has Lovecraftian vibes because it feels like everything's cosmic horror, right?
Oh yeah. No, and having it all be about like space stuff, but like space stuff from a modern context, because that's what Lovecraft was writing when he was writing about like the Migo and stuff. It's like, oh, they just discovered Pluto, and
The Plutonian god won't save you.
Yes. But this movie though, I feel like it's like John Carpenter being like, science is cool, man. Let's put some science monsters in this. How do I make a science Satan? I know. He was getting super high, playing his keyboard and watching Cosmos, and came up with it. I mean, that's not quite what it was, but that's pretty close to what it was.
Yeah.
So I have a theory. Are you ready?
Good. Yeah. Yes.
Not said in the movie, but I am told, and I haven't seen it. The script says the priest is named Father Loomis. So either Dr. Loomis and Father Loomis are the same person in different dimensions, or they're brothers or related.
Or both.
I mean, they could be on the other side of the mirror.
Could be.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because doesn't, a psychiatrist and a priest, part of their jobs are the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To provide comfort and explanations. But maybe I'm going off in a tangent.
Well, I mean, I feel like this film has multiple ways of being interpreted.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like one critic called it he was like a film theorist. He called it like a metaphor for the AIDS epidemic, which I see, but I don't think that was what Carpenter's intention was.
No.
And I don't think he never confirmed that. He never denied it.
No, but he also just doesn't like do that either. He'll be like, yeah, he also said this movie was full of gobbledygook that he put together. And he was like, this sounds sciencey.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff that's happening on the computer screen, like there's none of that's from the Bible per se, but it has biblical references.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
It's God.
I mean, definitely this period of time, we were all coming to grips with the AIDS crisis. So it may have been his subconscious bringing this out.
Oh,
Maybe
sure,
so.
sure. But yeah, no, I love this movie. I love the fact that it has ultimately nothing to do with the people that are there. If they weren't there, everything would still happen, but just a little bit faster.
Yeah. That's also the one thing is that I feel like there were a lot of they were kind of they kept talking about how the small brain people were able to be controlled, and it's like, but these are quantum physicists, and they're too easily taken out and controlled.
Yeah. There's stuff that I ended up taking from this to use in my own Call of Cthulhu games and stuff like that, like having someone die and then have them come out to the perimeter of a house or something and trying to convince them to leave and stuff. And someone who they're like, wait a minute, we literally saw that person die 2 days ago. There's no way that could be their body, and just and there's just like so much stuff, like so much atmosphere, so much in the sets, which I mean, everything's like in shot, edited, in I mean, they didn't do any special effects that they couldn't like.
Yeah,
they
he did
wouldn't have
nothing
to,
in
like,
post.
recreate. Yeah. So it's like, all right, we're just gonna do smoke in reverse. All right, cool.
I
We're
loved
just
that.
gonna-
And I loved like the way they did the dream sequence. He shot it from watching. He played it on TV, shot the TV, and
Yeah.
that's what gave it that kind of grainy, creepy, which I thought was brilliant. Now that
I
I've heard, I'm like,
love
oh,
that aesthetic so much.
how
Yeah.
smart.
But
But yeah, I mean, so also I would say that this movie is really like diverse casting for its time period, and like the idea of like, I mean, you have a somewhat like homosexual character. Like I guess Walter is kind of LGBTQ. I wasn't certain. I mean, he did stay in a closet for a long time.
Yeah.
There's definitely, so, and I think that a lot of, and again, I'm not sure if that was conscious or not.
Yeah, because I mean, he had the jokes about how he had a really hot date, but then he was saying that his one of his like grandmother or something like was asking about a homosexual crisis he was having, and I thought, well, okay, so is this character gay? I don't know. Does it matter? Not really, but
Not
like I just
really.
thought it was interesting, diverse cast of characters, women that were intelligent, that were not just fixtures. For that time period, oftentimes women were like the kind of like just kind of set dressing.
Yeah.
But that's probably Deborah Hill's influence as well, right? Because I mean, this is all based off of her dream about a church that she felt really uncomfortable in.
Huh.
Yeah. And also several strong Asian characters.
Yeah.
Absolutely, exactly. They're not demasculated, and they didn't use Eastern or Eastern mysticism at all, which I was
Yes.
like, thank
Yeah,
goodness
that's-
there wasn't like that dong 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 dong, like, and then they had throw in, well, this god of like so and so from Chinese mythology, and they were like, oh man, I'm
Yeah.
really glad they didn't do that at all. Like this was about Catholicism and science.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
And say what you want about Los Angeles, it is a diverse area, and so there were,
absolutely.
And maybe maybe miss like a Hispanic character, but I think they did in general very good.
Yeah.
No, special effects, the scene, everything about this movie, and it's like I loved it so much. It was like one of the first modern horror movies I'd seen when I was a kid, and it just blew me away. I thought it was so amazing the way it looked and the way it felt and the way it made me feel. It made me feel like, oh wow, this is probably what the end of the world would look like.
I feel like that's a really great assumption, because honestly it's not going to be this loud thing.
No.
I mean, I don't expect it to be that loud thing.
Yeah. It might be the result of a loud bang. I don't know. Anyway. So yeah. Anything else we have to say about this movie? Like,
gosh, I mean, there's so much, like, they're such cool characters. What can I say?
No, it's that goes back to my, like, I can't believe this wasn't a huge movie. I mean, it had like such a great cast of characters. It was so cool looking. I mean, I think maybe it was made for the wrong generation.
Yes.
You think so?
And I think that it also had the misfortune of going out during the Glenn Close Psycho movie.
Oh.
The one where
Basic Instinct?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
It was released at the same time, or it was released and Basic Instinct was still number one. It'd been out for a little while. So and it made movie. I mean, it made money. It made 4 times, what they spent on it. But I think that the people that wanted to watch a scary movie
Uh-huh.
went to see Basic Instinct instead.
Oh, I see. Who did
Gotcha.
you guys think was the scariest possessed person in the film? Just curious. Like after they got
Oh,
possessed by the goo.
honestly, what I always thought was the scariest was just the people outside.
Oh,
Like
the
people who just were like ants. They're just like ants, you know? Just out there.
right.
Nothing, you don't even know why they're out there at first. It's like, oh, that's just the way it looks in the city. It's like what I'm thinking. It's like, that's just the city. And it's like, no, there's more to it. But yeah.
And yeah, and so I don't know, scary or disturbing, but the African American, was that Calder? Or?
Calder, yes, you and I are on the same page. I was just about to
Yeah.
say Calder.
You know, he tries to kill himself,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
it doesn't work.
So creepy. And then like where he's like really sweaty and he's standing in front of the mirror and he's like going
Yeah.
and he's like crying but laughing. Oh, dude. That was my favorite character, literally, because his possession was so
Yeah.
spooky. He was such a I mean, the other actresses were very good, but I think that Dusty Lawrence Ferguson, because he was in Boys in the Hood, he was also quite good.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I think
So good.
I think it was him who is actually in the video until they do the close up.
Yes, it is. That's
The
what they
dark
said.
figure.
That he's playing the road figure, but that future changes when she sacrifices herself.
Yeah.
Catherine Danforth, is the character's
Yeah.
name?
So I was gonna bring that up too.
Mhm.
Danforth comes from Lovecraft, so does Marsh. There's a Marsh there too.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know
Danforth is one of the expeditions in Mountains of Madness, and the Marsh family.
Isn't Cabot as well, or
I think there's a Cabot. I mean, Cabot's a really common East Coast.
yeah,
name.
That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking too. And it's like, is Cabot one? But yeah. Yeah, no, this is such a good movie. If you haven't seen it and we haven't spoiled it too much for you, go watch it. If you have seen it and you didn't like it, watch it again with new
Yeah.
eyes. Maybe not like it again, or maybe find one of your favorite John Carpenter films of all times. I mean,
Totally.
this does belong, of course, in the Apocalypse trilogy, or End of the World trilogy. I can't know my brain. This is such a crazy, crazy movie. And the only movie that I feel like is like a little bit crazier than this is In the Mouth of Madness.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't know. That's my opinion. But
Nope, I'm good with that. That's great.
yeah. I don't know if we've watched In the Mouth of Madness yet for this show.
No, we haven't.
We have not.
Okay. All right.
Next
Cool,
season.
cool. Next season, of course. Because have we watched The Thing?
No.
No, we saw that was like we can watch it again, but that was like the week right before Gretchen joined.
Oh,
Aw.
that's right. Yeah.
But
Dang.
we could do it again because now Gretchen's here.
Yep, totally. Totally. All right. Yeah, I think that's it for the show, everyone. Prince of Darkness, find it. I couldn't find any place to rent it, so I just watched it free in free places. But yeah. Where did you
I
two
own a
find
copy
it?
of it.
Oh, okay. That works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I found on I'm not sure where I got it. I might have got it from my brother-in-law.
Okay, cool. But yeah, no, check it out. It's so good. Next week we will be talking about. I had this up a moment ago.
I got it.
We've got Albert Wilmarth and Wicker Man.
Oh, that's gonna be good. Can't
So
wait.
two stories about hanging out in the country with the locals.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next week, everyone. And remember to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and anywhere you find podcasts. And if this comes out in time, check me out at Emerald City Comic Con. I'll have a booth somewhere selling plastic stuff. I'll throw a link up on the Facebook or wherever once I know what's going on. All right. Thank you all, everyone, and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye. That was a good show.
Yeah, that was fun.
I will get this out right out to you.
Cool. I still want to talk about this movie, but yeah, I gotta go make dinner. It's like I want to talk more about the Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, I have some goats that will need some water.
Yep.
All right, you guys.
Well, have a good one, y'all.
Not next week. Obviously, we're skipping a week, right? So
Yep,
week
yep.
after.
Yes.
Word.
All right. Take care.
Bye, guys. Good luck at Emerald City.
Oh, thank you.
Make lots of money.
I'm trying to. Yeah. Bye.